We believe that prayer has the power to transform circumstances, to overcome challenges, to give us the victory. But so often we don't truly rely on that prayer. And even when we do we have the tenacity to stick it out to the end? Hezekiah was given a death sentence, literally. Isaiah comes to him and says, God said to tell you, get your affairs in order. You're going to die. But Hezekiah had a history with God. He had a track record of seeing God move in power. He had seen God do the amazing and the miraculous in response to his prayers. So what's his first reaction? His first reaction is to turn his face to the wall and pray. Now, Isaiah has not even gotten out of the building when God stops him and tells him, go back, tell Hezekiah I'm giving him 15 more years. God responded to his prayer. Now, you can interpret that story many ways. Some people would interpret it that God wanted him to call on him and to pray, which I think is always appropriate. But you could also interpret it, wow, did he actually change God's mind? Can we actually do that? I'll leave it to you to decide. You can find that story in 2 Kings 20. But let's talk real world. So I have a really close personal friend named Greg. And Greg's hugely talented. He's a professional magician. He's an evangelist. He's prophetic. He has a call and a purpose. He has a mission from God. But for a number of years now, Greg has also battled serious, sometimes debilitating health issues. He's had ongoing heart issues. He had COVID last year. There were a couple of moments we thought we might lose him. But one of them that's been a real, true challenge has been for 7 years, his vocal cords have been damaged. And because of that, his voice was really raspy. And especially when he was tired, it could sometimes be difficult to understand him. Now, when you're called, your purpose, your mission requires you to be in front of people and to communicate. If your calling in God requires you to communicate, this is the kind of thing that would debilitate so many people. But Greg, what does he do? He's the Energizer Bunny of faith. He just keeps going. Now, Greg had seen every doctor, every specialist. So even though we're looking in prayer, we're in faith looking for God to move, doesn't mean he didn't go see the doctors. As my friend Dick Benjamin used to say before he went to be with the Lord, it says, when you come to Christ, he doesn't suck your brains out. So over the years, Greg has seen pretty much every specialist in the book. And in all they could do, they couldn't fix it. They couldn't heal it. They couldn't reverse the situation. All they could do is just try to give him the ability to keep doing his ministry, do his calling for as long as possible, limping along, so to speak. But just recently, a week or two ago, 7 years exactly to the day from the point his voice was damaged, God did what the doctors couldn't do. God healed his voice. God restored his voice to what it had been before. The thing the doctors said would never happen, God did. My point is this. Greg now has a new lease on his life impacting lives. God's glorified. He is transformed. He's renewed. And he can touch so many more lives. And it's all because of prayer and faith. God is waiting so often to move. And he's waiting for us as his representatives to make that first step in prayer. But also understanding that we need to have the tenacity, that we would be bold in going to God. See, I have needs, you have needs, everyone around us has needs. And instead of us figuring out how to cope, let's get God's power involved. Let's go to him in prayer. Let's take that first step, but also let's have that tenacity. It took 7 years exactly to the day, believe it or not, for Greg's voice to be healed. Now, why? Sorry, beyond me. But what I do know is because of tenacity, Greg is healed. And again, God is glorified and lives are being impacted. So let's accept that challenge. Let's step out of our comfort zone and let's be bold in our prayer and in our tenacity. And let's see what God will do.